So it's been a couple days since Blade has been out. I've taken him to a couple of tournaments, played him in ranked for a long time, and here are some things I've learned that you won't find anywhere else. Number one, his sword, just like this, is absolutely terrible. You walk up on someone, look at this. I'm not doing anything with this. Basically, never go in sword form until you're in Awaken, because it's just so much better. And I know the healing is terrible, but the damage is just so much higher. Basically, only go into sword form by pressing E and pressing E again to go out of shotgun form. This should be the only buttons you press. Never press 1 or 2, just E, 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 E. That's it. Secondly, you should never block in this form, like ever. If you're blocking in Awakened form, you're losing a lot of healing potential your team can be giving you. There's no benefit to blocking in that form. I mean, you move like a little bit faster, but like losing 40% of your healing is just not worth it. So a lot of people, what they do is they let go of E and then block. Don't do that. That actually adds an extra animation. So what you need to do is when you're in this form, block while in this form and press E. You saw that? There was no end lag. He just immediately takes it off. There's no animation or nothing. It just turns off like that. So make sure when you're in this form, you block and then you click E. My third tip is every single time you ult, there's no exception, you should have Awaken popped. There is no reason to not have this popped when you're ulting, because when you ult with this on, you gain all the lifesteal from the ultimate. Another thing is, you don't ever want to ult when you don't have some dashes, right? Let's give you an example. So we have a bot here, they're strafing left and right. I'm just gonna go ahead and ult, and now they're kind of out of it. You know what I'm saying? She walks out, but I can now dash to follow up and clean. You should always have a dash or two after your ultimate. Another one I see a lot of people doing is when they're at 10 stacks against a tank, what they do is they dash with their sword and they keep going and attacking. And yeah, it's building you ult charge and it's healing you, but it's not good enough. It's not going to get you the kill. So what you want to do with this tech is hold your attack button, right? You see this? I'm holding my attack button, then I hold E. You see that? I just held E and it pulls out my gun and it shoots. Now, here's the tech. When you hold E, right, and it shoots and you go back into the attack, instead of just holding the shoot button, I need you to use your dash in gun form. Take a look. It looks something like this. Sorry, the practice range ended, but basically you're attacking like this. You pull out the gun. You saw that right there? If I slow it down for you guys, I'll slow it down for you guys real quick. You can actually see me dash, apply the anti-heal, shoot a bullet, and pull out my sword and keep attacking. That's so much better than just using the dash. That's the most important tech I can teach you guys against a tank. It gets you so many kills. These are things I haven't really seen anyone talk about because no one's really playing Blade because they think he's bad, but maybe an opinion video will come out later.